afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of CampusCare EdTalks. I, Mehek Dhaman, your host for the day, would like to welcome you all. EdTalks is a platform where educators and leaders come on board and express their viewpoints related to education and society. Our topic for the day is developing and adding creativity to teaching, and to express her viewpoints on the same, we have with us Mrs. Asha Saran Srivastav, ma'am, Principal of Jaspal Kaur Public School, Shalimar Bagh, New Delhi. A very warm welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
How are you doing, ma'am?
All good. How about you?
I'm doing great, ma'am. It's so nice to have you here. Very welcome on board.
Thank you so much. I'm sure we will add some value to our teaching learning process through this interaction.
Absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am, let's start off with the session, ma'am, shall we?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So, ma'am, when speaking of, developing and adding creativity to teaching, do you think that creativity is it even an important part of our every activity? Is it really necessary to be creative while doing anything? What do you think, ma'am?
I definitely believe that creativity is an important part of every activity. Otherwise, I think creativity is life.
Yes, ma'am.
Creativity is there in each and every corner of a life, and that adds more value to our life. It makes our life purposeful, meaningful, and fruitful. I remember Albert Einstein once said that creativity is intelligence having fun. So I'm sure creativity in every activity, definitely, it has become the most important soft skill in the 21st century. And as per the NEP, also, creativity is one thing which we must inculcate among teachers, among students, among even a group D employees, wherever. Creativity is important to add spice to the life, I believe.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much. Creativity, it does add spice to the life, as you just mentioned. Moving forward, ma'am, when speaking of teaching, do you think is it important to have creativity while teaching, and how important is it for an educator to be creative while teaching something?
I feel that creativity is an important aspect in teaching. Nowadays, we ask our students to follow your heart, to follow your passion, and I firmly believe that creativity connects with passion. So, in when we are talking about the teaching, even our new education policy also states that we have to get our educators, our children, away from the mundane and the most conventional way of rote learning or examinations. And that can happen only once we bring creativity. I'll just share the example of today itself. Uh, my head of the department, social science, she came in and we celebrate subject enrichment activities. So she said, ma'am, we can do street play, we can do, some kind of quiz. And I said, I think we have our annual day on 19th of November. So children would be doing that quite much. So let's go different. Let's give our houses different countries and let's have MUN, the Model United Nations. That itself is a subject. So thinking out of the box, enhancing critical thinking and problem solving can happen through creativity. So it's very important that our educators, our teachers, our facilitators, they become creative in adopting the pedagogical skills and techniques. That's very, very important because children, especially when I say, for last 2 years, children have been totally addicted to the gadgets, and so it can be a de-addiction campaign. if we integrate creativity in our teaching, and that's much easier. That's much easier. So I would definitely say that creativity in teaching is very, very important. And of course, the teacher's role is quite crucial in creating a healthy atmosphere in which a child feels free to express their creativity, explore it, and of course, comprehend its significance. So, a major role of creativity in teaching, we must understand it's high time. We have to make the children, it's important for them to make them think, make them think, use their potential. That's very, very important. So I think I've answered your question that yes, creativity is a pivotal, point for all of us as educators in teaching. That's very, very important because even Rabindranath Tagore also felt that without having creativity, you cannot teach the heart. You can only teach the brain. So if you have to have a coordination of hand, heart, and brain, so creativity is must. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Absolutely, creativity is must here. So, I do remember I know teachers, educators, they do a lot of different things when it comes to teaching so that students do remember them, and that learning process it becomes really easy. So I had a teacher, she was an English teacher, and she was very strict about that you'll be speaking in English in my classroom only. So what she
Hmm.
did was she distributed storybooks among us that was in English language only, and she said that you'll be reading this, and I'll provide you with these storybooks, whosoever will be speaking in English for 7 days straight. And there were things like this, and children actually they do really enjoy it. So ma'am, do you think that does these kind of things, when we bring creativity and in the learning process, does it improve the learning process for the students?
100%, because experiential learning, learning by doing, you're giving them space to try certain things. They need to be experimental. They will do mistakes, that's okay. We always tell our children that you learn by mistakes, but unfortunately, we do not give them space to commit those mistakes. Everything is so verbatim, so kind of dictated in terms of the techniques. So I think once we give this creativity space to the children, they definitely learn it. And moreover, the important part here is, which is definitely happening with the rote learning, they learn, they do not understand, and they forget. If you ask them after 5 years, they will not even remember. But once you find a way yourself, it is always said, no, the path you find yourself, you create yourself, you will never ever forget in life. So definitely creativity will help in the learning process, which would be much long lasting, much better, and much, I would say that the child is able to correlate to, you know. So that's very important. Learning will definitely have, it will become interesting, important, as well as something, which others have not done, which I am doing. So the child should feel that. That's very, very important.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Lastly, ma'am, what are some of the tips and suggestions you would like to give to become a creative educator, or when it comes to teaching, whether let's say let it be a parent or a teacher or whosoever. If I'm teaching something to somebody, what are some of the tips I can use so that I am creative while teaching?
I feel the most important thing for children is to love life. If you love life, then only you can be creative. And you have to love your life enough so that you have that room of creativity. So for the educators, the most important thing is, it's not something which you can learn overnight. It is a gradual process. I cannot impose creativity on anyone, any one of my teacher or any one of my staff. I have to give them a direction. I have to show them the path towards creativity and let them imbibe it, let them adopt it, let them feel it right from within. then only they will be able to accept. It is always said, no, that you should always put your point across when the other person is receptive. If the other person is receptive, then only the person will try to emulate that or will try to experiment with that. Let me give an example. We are a school where we have on an average experience of 20 years. We are 37-year-old school. So when this pandemic thing happened and the teachers were little apprehensive, they were anxious how they're going to use technology. The transition was so sudden. The mental health was at a stake. Suddenly you were, living in a fear of the pandemic. But let me tell you, all the teachers, they adopted the creative method. They created their own videos, their own PPTs. They used the ways out of the box to make it interesting for the children so that they attend online classes. That was the biggest challenge. So I'm sure the teachers can be trained, special sessions can happen, the motivation sessions. Apart from the academic workshops, I believe the happiness curriculum, very interesting thing. We should have more motivational happiness workshop for the teachers, because I remember once one teacher told me, ma'am, if a teacher is smiling, she will make 100 other students smile.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is the impact of creativity which we can impart to the teachers, and I'm sure it is contagious. If somebody, one teacher in a department is doing something, the other teacher will definitely understand, and the children will appreciate that, that in my class this happened. I'll just share, close the answer with an example. We had a poem by the name The Frog and the Nightingale. And we were just doing that poem. I was taking class, and one child was drawing it. He drew a nightingale, he drew a frog, he drew a tree. So I said, wow, you have drawn so well, but you are not listening to what I'm teaching. He said, ma'am, I could only understand three things. There is a tree, there is a frog, and there is a nightingale, right? You won't believe, ma'am, we had a wonderful activity which was the cartoon strip making. So next time we did it through a cartoon strip making, and the children could never imagine that we can even draw. And they wrote such wonderful, humorous dialogues also. So I think all of us has that within us. It's only that you have to just wake it up, shake it up, and yes, I can do it. So we have to think out of the box. Moreover, it's very important nowadays as a soft skill for the child who has to plunge into a bigger ocean after the school. There it is very important, because every child, every individual has to create a niche to survive in this competitive world. So it's very important.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think what you said, just it's really true. Whenever when a teacher, when it enters the classroom, when for example the way she enters, tells a lot of things. It
Yes,
makes a big difference. For example, if she's entering with a big smile on her face, it creates a big difference. I guess,
I think
right?
we all talk about vibe these days.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's the vibes which you're sending across, which makes a lot of difference to the children. They can make out. They can very well. They're very observant. Children are very observant. They can make out. So that is what we have to understand, and we have to bring them on the same platform. Then only, if we are not on the same page, I don't think so. Any creativity or any pedagogical skills or techniques can help you. The connect between the teacher and the child will happen only through the passion, through the desire, and through the creativity. So that's very important, creating that connect.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here today. It was lovely having you here on board and,
Thank you
listening to
so
your.
much.
Thank you so
I'm,
much, ma'am.
I really wonder if could, the conversation added some value to the viewers, or maybe I still also have to be a little more creative, and there is always a room of improvement. I loved the session, and I love my children, and I really want every child to blossom, and use his or her potential to the best, not to be successful but to be happy, and contented. That's it. That's my message.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And for all the viewers watching us out, do not forget to subscribe to our channel for more stuff like this. Thank you, ma'am. Have a
Definitely.
great day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.